Hi, I'm Brad Walker, founder and CEO of the Stretching Institute and StretchCoach.com. Firstly, I want to thank you for the opportunity to talk with you today about stretching, flexibility training, and assisted stretching. I've been working in this industry for over 30 years now, and it's something that I'm really passionate about. And it's great to see the popularity of stretching increasing over the last few years, which is a great opportunity for you guys as massage therapists to incorporate stretching and assisted stretching into your existing treatments. So I thought today I'd just go over a few of the basics of stretching, answer a couple of questions about assisted stretching, and then at the end of the video I'll point you in the right direction if you'd like to get any more information. So to start with, I thought we'd go over just a few basics, cover up a few misconceptions out there about stretching and flexibility training, and look at some of the do's and don'ts of how to incorporate stretching into your training. So I've just made some notes behind me and I'm just going to go through those as we work through this video. So the first thing I want to talk about is the different types of stretching. There's a lot of confusion around what type of stretching is best or what type of stretching you should do or shouldn't do. So what I wanted to do is just talk about the different types of stretching and then let you know when's the best way to incorporate what type of stretching. So in the broadest terms, the two basic types of stretching are either static stretching or dynamic stretching. Now, static stretching refers to any stretching exercises where you or your client get into the stretch position and then hold it and stay stationary for a predetermined amount of time, as opposed to dynamic stretches which use movement, usually in the forms of like arm swings and leg swings and that sort of stuff, to incorporate the stretching into motion. So static stretching is stretches that are done without motion, and dynamic stretches are done with motion. Now, some of the pros and cons around the two types of stretching. Oftentimes people will tell you that one type of stretching is better than another. Just like strength training, there's many different ways that you can do stretching. There's about 9 or 10 different types. Now, some of them, like static stretching, P&F stretching, they're your static types of stretching. Other types like dynamic stretching, ballistic stretching, active isolated stretching, they're all dynamic types of stretching. And it's not that one type of stretching is better than another. They all have their advantages and disadvantages, or their pros and cons. And it's more a matter of figuring out the goals that you or your client has, and then incorporating the right type of stretching to match those goals. So for example, some types of stretching are more beneficial for warming up and sports performance. Other types of stretching are more beneficial for injury rehabilitation, and other types of stretching are more beneficial for improving range of motion and flexibility. So it's not that one type of stretching is better than another. It's about figuring out what your client or what you want to achieve and then matching the right type of stretching to the goal that you or your client have. So let's talk about some of the rules for safe stretching, because stretching is just like any other type of any other type of exercise. It can be dangerous and it can be harmful if you do it incorrectly or do it in the wrong way. So it's important that you do follow a few simple rules when it comes to doing your stretching. Firstly, it's really important that you don't stretch any sort of injuries, especially in the acute phase of an injury, or that's usually early on in the injury process, usually within the first 48 to 72 hours after an injury. It's really important to avoid any type of stretching during that time. Now, later on in the injury rehabilitation process, there are times when you can use stretching to speed up recovery, but especially in those early stages, it's really important that you avoid any type of stretching. Another confusion that often comes up is around, is a stretch good or is a stretch bad? Oftentimes, someone may have told someone that stretch is a bad stretch, or that stretch, you shouldn't do that stretch. It's not about whether the stretch is good or bad. It's more about whether the stretch is appropriate for the client that you're working on. So for example, a stretch that may be perfectly okay for me may not be okay for someone else. So when it comes to deciding what sort of stretches to do with your clients, it's really important that you assess your clients, talk with them about what's bothering them or why they've come to see you, and then incorporate stretches that are going to be suitable for that particular client. Another good rule to follow is, if it's not tight, then you really don't need to stretch it. Now, that doesn't mean that you totally neglect that area, But just as with a massage, if you have a client that comes in to see you and they say they have a really tight neck and shoulders, then you're going to focus most of your session on that particular area. You're not going to spend most of the session working on their lower body or their legs. And stretching is exactly the same. If you're working with a client and you notice that they're not particularly tight in any particular area, and that area is not giving them any sort of trouble or anything like that, then you don't need to spend a lot of time on that area. Like I said, you don't totally neglect it, but it's an indicator that that area probably doesn't need as much stretching as some other areas. Okay, so that brings up the next point, what to focus on. When you are doing your stretching, it's really important to find out the areas that are causing the most problems for your clients. So what areas are most restricted? What areas are most tight? Where are there imbalances within the body? Where is one side of the body more flexible than the other side? Once you've done this, once you've done an assessment with your client and worked out those areas that are causing most trouble for the client, they're the ones that you focus on. So it's really important. A lot of times clients will come to me and ask for a full body stretching routine. And it's very important that you explain to the client that it's not about just stretching everything equally, because if you have certain areas of your body that are tight and other areas that are not tight, and you stretch all those areas equally, then you're not going to improve anything. Everything's just going to get a little bit more flexible, but you're still going to have those tight spots. So it's really important that you focus on those areas that are most tight, or where there's imbalances from one side of the body to the other. So for example, if a client has their right hamstrings more tight than their left hamstring, it's really important that you try and even out that flexibility between the left and right side. So you'd end up spending more time working on the right side than you would the left, to try and even out that flexibility. Another thing that's really important is when it comes to stretching, a lot of people make the mistake of overstretching or stretching too hard. It's probably one of the most common mistakes I see people make when they are stretching, trying to push the stretch too hard or force the stretch too much. What happens when we do this, when we push the body or when we push the muscles past a certain level of flexibility, the body has a defense mechanism called the stretch reflex. The stretch reflex kicks in, which essentially just contracts the muscle group that you're trying to stretch. So it's really important when you are stretching your clients that you're not overdoing it. You're not pushing your clients too hard or too far and activating that stretch reflex. So I use a tension scale ranging from 0 to 10. And it's really important to explain to your clients that this is a tension scale. It's not a pain scale. We never want to have our clients in a position where they're feeling pain while being stretched. So 0 would be no stretch at all, and 10 would be the point where they're starting to feel pain. We never want to get to that painful spot. So I recommend for most of my clients, when I'm working on their larger muscle groups, like the buttocks, the quads, the back muscles, etc., we want to aim for a tension of around 6 to 7 out of 10. We really don't need to push it much more than that. When we're working on some of the smaller muscle groups, like when I'm doing stretches for the shoulders or the neck muscles and so forth, the tension scale I want to achieve is no more than about a 3 or 4 out of 10. So that's plenty of tension when you're working with your clients, doing the stretches with them. So there's just some very simple basics about stretching and using stretching. In regards to assisted stretching, it's great to see that people are becoming more and more interested in stretching. I think for a long time, people have been focused on the harder aspects of training and working out. They've been focused on lifting heavier weights, pushing more weights. They've been focused on running further, running faster. They've been focused on high intensity interval training and things like that. And I think people are starting to realize that if they want to keep doing those activities, if they want to keep doing those sports, then they need to take care of their recovery and their rehabilitation. And stretching and obviously massage plays a huge role in that. So it's really great to see that people are understanding just how important that stretching and flexibility training is to their overall health and fitness. So you guys as massage therapists are in a great position to be able to take advantage of this increase in interest when it comes to stretching and flexibility training, and especially assisted stretching. So when it comes to your role as a massage therapist and including assisted stretching in your services, there's a few things that you can do as a massage therapist. One of the great things about using assisted stretching in your services is that it's a great complement to what you're already doing. So people are coming to see you because they've got tight muscles or sore muscles or painful muscles, and you're helping them with the massage that you do. But by adding a few assisted stretches, you can really enhance the service and the treatment that they're getting. So one of the first things that I do is when I'm incorporating assisted stretching is that I just add a few stretches into the massage work that I'm already doing. So for example, if I'm working on a client and I notice that their hamstrings are quite tight and I'm having a little bit of trouble loosening them up, then I'll stop the massage for a minute. I'll go and do a few assisted stretches on their hamstrings, and then I'll come back to the massage. And the combination of the massage and the stretches does a really great job in loosening up those tight areas and really helping the client. Another way I use assisted stretching is I do a half and half session. So I'll typically start off with half of the session focused on massage. Massage is a really good way to warm the clients up for the stretches that they're going to do. And then I spend the second half of the session working on assisted stretches. Again, I'll work with the client. I'll find out from them what's important to them, why they've come to see me, what's tight, what's sore, what's bothering them. And then I'll focus the session on the specific things that are going to help the client the most. The last way I use assisted stretching in my practice is I do a full dedicated standalone assisted stretching session. So I usually offer either half-hour or 1 hour sessions where I'll just focus entirely on assisted stretching. And that's a great way to use assisted stretching in a number of different ways within your current practice. Now, as a massage therapist, you're in the perfect position to add assisted stretching to your services. Firstly, you're expanding the services that you're offering. So it's a great way to offer additional services to your clients. Which is a way to better serve your clients. Being able to add services that they can use and benefit from is great for them as your clients. It's also an additional revenue stream. So adding assisted stretching to your current services is a way to add additional revenue to your practice without actually adding any additional costs, because you already have all the equipment you need to do assisted stretching. In all honesty, you really only need a bench or a massage table. And you're ready to go. So you can add assisted stretching to your current list of services without adding any additional costs whatsoever. And, you know, let's face it, assisted stretching is becoming more popular at the moment. And if you don't offer the services where you are, then surely someone else is going to come along and offer assisted stretching services in your area. So you may as well offer it to your clients and the general community where you live or where you practice from, and be able to offer those services to those people. So thanks again, everyone, for letting me share for a minute. I really appreciate your time. If you do want more information on how to add assisted stretching to your current service or to your current practice, or you'd like information and courses and material on how to do assisted stretching, how to use assisted stretching in your practice, I have a whole area of resources dedicated to adding assisted stretching to your practice on my website at stretchcoach.com. So please visit there. A lot of the information that I have there is free. I do have some other courses that you can do that are quite comprehensive, certification courses that are registered with a number of approved providers, which you'll get CE credits for. So please go to the website at stretchcoach.com and you'll find all the information there. Okay, thanks again for your time. Good luck with adding assisted stretching to your practice, and hopefully I'll see you out there one day. Bye for now.